God, this one taste one is hilarious. It was an orgasmic meditation company. Yeah, I'll skip that one because I don't trust myself to talk about this stuff without saying something wrong. Welcome to episode 5 of Hogwash. I'm Mike Lumix, and I'm with Martin Took. We're doing 2 episodes a week now, as you can probably tell. Why? I got some feedback from people that they really like to have podcasts they can listen to regularly, like on the way to work. And I know that there's a lot of podcasts out there that are like 4 or 5 hours long and super deep dive into topics. I don't think we're really in that side of the podcast world. I think of us as the kind of thing that we're entertaining. I think we are anyway. Intellectually stimulating, but not like super high calorie intellectual content, and something that you probably could listen to every day because what we talk about is newsworthy. And
Mhm.
so it's always something new and interesting. And you kind of keep up to date with what's going on with the world. And then you
Yeah.
get our opinions on it. Now, this isn't every day, but this is going to get us closer to something we could do like 4 or 5 times a week. And also our episodes were kind of long. So it kind of made
Makes
sense to kind
sense.
of break out some of the talking points into different episodes. How do you feel about it, though? Do you feel like this expansion is premature, or do you think it's a good thing?
No, I think it's a good adjustment. We can try it and see how it works out. And if we decide we don't want to keep doing it, there's no harm in going back to just one episode per week in terms of the content we produce. So, yeah, 2 episodes a week, just more bite sized, keep it under an hour per episode, maybe around 40, 45 minutes. I like it. Let's see how it works out. I'm
We'll
excited.
try because remember, I'm Mike the Lummox, and Mike the Lummox has a big mouth. I'm working
Yes.
on it, people. I'm working on it. I'm seriously thinking about hiring someone just to be like, hey, Mike, shut the fuck up. We've been talking about this for too long. You said the same thing 3 times now. We get it. Shut the fuck up.
I'm going to order one of those big red buzzer buttons like we talked about. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'm threatening
Oh my
yes.
God. Totally.
Just hold it
Yeah.
up to the microphone. Just go,
Yeah,
right there.
actually, that's a good idea. You don't have to use it just to tell me when you want to talk. You can use the buzzer to just tell me to stop talking. It's basically like
Yes.
training a dog. Like you're Caesar Milan, and I'm the unruly pit bull. That's what they do. They're like,
Yes.
actually, believe it or not, that shit works. So I have a dog that's a bit rowdy, and if you do that, like tss, tss, they actually like what the fuck, and they actually like
Yeah.
stop doing whatever they're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been like I know that it's not like rooted in science, but I actually really like a lot of what Caesar Milan says about dogs.
I'm sure.
Um,
I'm sure it works.
yeah. Anyway, by the way, we
Mm.
have almost 93. I think as of this filming, we have almost 100 YouTube subscribers, which I'm impressed
Great.
about. I mean, because we only do this for a couple weeks. Most of them have come in the last week. I've been working really hard to put out a lot of clips and longer video segments so people can get a taste of what we're about.
Yeah.
The short reels, the YouTube shorts and like the Instagram reels get discovery. It's like helps new people discover you. And then these shorter video content supposed to like break our episodes into segments. So you can see like, okay, if you're interested in it,
Yeah.
the story about AI, you can listen to that. And it seems like it's working. I mean, my goal is I want to have 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know that sounds wild, but we got to figure out the formula to get there. Seems like we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's good. Good job, by the way. Thank you for doing it. Appreciate it.
Listen, we wouldn't be hogwash without you because nobody in the world, not even me, I don't even want to listen to me for an hour talking. Okay. So it's gotta, we need the counterbalance.
Yeah. That's good.
Let's see. I want to ask you a fun question.
Oh,
Let me
I have
think.
something I want to bring up, by the way.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in the last episode, I started us off by reading the latest communique from the commander in chief from Donald Trump threatening Iran if they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz, they're gonna be living in hell. He called them crazy bastards. He said, "Praise be to Allah." And he threatened to bomb the bridges and energy plants, like power plants in the country. And I didn't clock it at the time, but it turns out if you attack an energy plant, a power plant, that's a war crime, apparently. So threatening to engage in war crimes on his official social media profile over at Truth Social. It just, I don't know, it speaks to the level of degradation in official government communications that we're currently seeing. And I didn't even know it at the time that that was considered a war crime if you bomb somebody's power plant during a war. But yeah, there it is.
I think the way a lot of people like him and oh my God, I'm not going to say his name, but some other guy who is, I'm not going to talk about him on this episode, okay? But
Okay.
some other guy who's equally contemptible. No, maybe not equally, but in the same realm of
Yeah.
contemptibility. The way they tend to operate is they're kind of like I use the term. I didn't make this up. I got it from a guy named Matt Levine who writes for Bloomberg.
Mhm.
I love his pieces, opinion pieces. But legal realism, where it's basically like, okay, I'm gonna break the law, and then their lawyers are like, no, you can't do that. You're breaking the law, and then they're like, so what? What's gonna happen? And they're like, well, you're gonna get in trouble, and they're like, well, am I gonna go to jail? And they're like, well, no, probably not. And then they're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do it then. And
Yeah.
that's what they do. I mean, I could use the other guy examples from the other guy, one who I will not name. He's
Mhm.
Voldemort. He's Voldemort for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's probably thinking like, so what are they gonna do? So what? Like, I started the board of peace. You can't accuse me of a war crime.
Exactly. Yes. I am
Yeah.
the inaugural winner of the FIFA Peace Prize.
Yeah. I just feel bad. I just I don't know. I don't know if this is any kind of meaningful consolation or anything, but I just wish the rest of the world would understand that this is the byproduct of a broken election system in this country and other things, right? Like the uncapped power of social media and things like that.
Right.
And this is not really what most Americans want or feel. I mean, even conservatives here are generally very unfavorable of this kind of stuff. But they just keep pushing the limits of what they can do, breaking norms, breaking tradition, and breaking the law. And that's why I said this is no different. They're going to break the law in our country. They're going to break it definitely for international law too.
What's gonna happen? Nothing, I guess. So
We'll see.
we'll
We'll
see.
see. It's
Anyway, so
not
I just
over.
wanted to clarify that point from the last episode. Yeah. Damn.
Okay, can we talk about something fun just for a minute? Like, I just want to
Yes,
know, like,
please.
okay, so, okay, if you could live anywhere in the world and didn't have to worry about working or anything or what your wife
Money. I don't have to worry about
wanted,
money.
where would you live and why?
Am I being completely selfish here?
Yeah, yeah, like
Okay.
assume that Libby's on board with this.
Okay, so my wife's on board with this. We don't have to worry about money or employment opportunities.
Yeah, and then
Eh,
yeah,
yeah. Okay. Definitely by the ocean. I'm extremely partial to being by the water. Um,
hmm
I happen to think that Northern California is some of the most beautiful landscapes in nature on the planet. It's stunning there. If it could be somewhere where I'm close to the mountains, the forest, the oceans, and I can go scuba diving and you have access to some good food and good weather, then I think I'd be very, very happy. So let's say Big Sur or Northern California more generally.
Okay. Give me 1 second because somebody is texting the fuck out of me and I need to tell them to shut the F up. Sorry.
Please tell me it's your wife.
No, it's my mom. And I'm like, just send one message, man. Why do you have to send four in a row? You know what? I shouldn't even say because I probably do that, but just send one. Okay. What is this? The earliest dinner I've ever made. 2 pictures of some food. Oops. Does that say Allah? Oh my God. And now here's another message coming. I have to block her. Mom, I'll unblock you later. I can't.
Is this your mom or your stepmom?
My mom. Yeah, they both do the same thing, but my mom's way worse. Okay, she's been blocked. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's like, actually, it's not even her fault. It's Apple's fault because Apple's
Just
like,
go on Do Not Disturb.
I do, but it still sends things through. I literally have a
There has to be
custom.
an exception for them.
It makes exceptions all the time. I literally have one called "Do Not Fucking Bother Me," and it's like the most like restrictive privacy setting ever made, and it still lets some calls and things through. And I'm like, why are you letting this through, Apple? Just why can't I just decide? My God.
I don't get it. That doesn't happen to me. If I'm on Do Not Disturb, nothing comes through. No sound, nothing.
I don't know what to say. Okay, well, fine. Maybe it's user error. I don't fucking know. Okay. Anyway, where were we?
This is
So
gold. We got to keep this in. This is gold. Please keep this in.
so you want to live in Northern California?
Think so.
Okay,
I speak the language.
but no whale burgers. Oh, what
That's
are we gonna
okay.
do?
I can live with that. They have good regular steak.
Oh man, it's funny because I actually don't think I've been. I've traveled a lot, but I don't think I've been really to that many diverse places. Definitely not as many as you have. Like I've never been to New
Mm.
Zealand or Australia.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never been to most places, and I've only been to really Thailand in Asia. I've never been to Hawaii even. So I
Hawaii's
feel like
beautiful. My
I feel
God,
like it would
Hawaii's
be one
beautiful.
of those places. It would be somewhere where, like, it looks like a fairy tale, you know? Like, it's
Mhm.
so beautiful that you can't even believe how the sun, like, reflects off of, like, the fresh green grass of the mountains in the
Mhm.
distance. Like, and there are some places like that, and from pictures, I feel like New Zealand's like that. I feel like Iceland is like that.
The Swiss
Actually,
Alps.
there was this one city in Norway that you mentioned. By the way, this is kind of a funny little detail, but
Yeah.
this what we record on, which is called Riverside, it transcribes our dialogue between each other, and it is excellent at transcribing Norwegian. It
Really?
yeah, because it doesn't, like, know what language we're speaking, it just listens and then detects the language, and so you've mentioned, like, some Norwegian cities that I can barely even say, and it spells them perfectly. So
Oh,
one of the ones that it brought up, and I looked it up, is called God, I'm gonna fuck it up. I don't even know how you say it.
I'm
It's
excited to hear
spelled
this.
it's spelled
Lofoten.
yeah, I wouldn't have said that. Yes, that one. Oh my god, this place is incredible. What the fuck?
Yes.
This is like
Yeah,
how do
Lofoten
people
is
not know
beautiful.
about this? I've never heard of it before.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's well known among photography enthusiasts. A lot of people go up there and photograph these iconic red fishing cabins and the mountains behind them. There's a soccer pitch up there that became famous because it's basically carved out of the landscape on a stony outcrop in the ocean there, and there's like roads and bridges that lead out there, but it's a publicly accessible soccer pitch that the locals can use that the kids play on. And if you see like this big overview picture, it's just in the middle of a rocky outcropping island next to all these other islands. And then it's just ocean and mountain peaks as far as the eye can see in the background. And it's really, really beautiful. Stunning.
Man, I gotta find a way to get there. But anyway, I think
Yeah.
of the places I've been to that because I can like verify that they're good.
Yeah.
I would live probably in southern Italy, probably near like
Oh, yeah.
and the reason why is because I love, like, volcanic sand and stuff like that.
Mm,
I have a lot of that. The people are amazing. I mean, they are
mm.
just so Italians in general are pretty friendly and
Oh, yeah.
warm people, but they're really like that in the South. I like the food of Southern Italy better than Northern Italy. So, like, most people go to the North. They go to, like, Milan or Venice or Florence. Rome, I was kind of like in the middle, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
But if you go, like, south of Rome to, like, Campania, where Naples is and that
Mm,
area, like like Capri and Sorrento, it's like it's just I don't know. I found it to be like a magical place, and
yeah.
it's like the people make it that way. I remember one time I went to this little ass island off the coast of Italy called Ventotene. It's off the coast of Form
Contain.
Ventotene, and you can only get there by
Sounds like a
ferry.
Starbucks drink.
It does, right?
No, I'm
Anyway,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
it's off the coast of Formia, so you have to wait to get a ferry. It's, like, kind of near Naples,
Yeah.
ish, and anyway, there's no cars on this island, and barely any people, but there's, like, a handful of, like 2 or 3, like, little restaurants or stores or something, so, like, when you walk through, even as a tourist, kind of everybody knows you already because you like, one of the only people there, and I just thought it was, like, incredible, and they have, like, this, like, abandoned ancient prison on, like, an island, like, nearby, so you take, like, a
Mhm.
little I took, like, a little raft there, which was scary, and this guy was like I was with my girlfriend at the time, you know, by the way.
Mm,
Mhm. Yeah.
mhm.
We met on a trip from school, all of us.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, I remember that we went on this raft and this guy like took us to this, island across the way, this like abandoned ancient prison.
Yeah.
There was nobody there. And he was like, okay, I'll see you guys later. And I was like, wait, when? I don't know when you're coming back. When? It was like, it's not like I could call someone from there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember I feel like there I had the closest thing to like a spiritual experience. I just felt
Oh,
so like I don't know. Actually, sorry, the closest thing I've had to a spiritual experience since then was my son being born. And I'm not a spiritual person. I laugh when people
yeah.
say the word spirituality.
Same.
Um, but like if it almost felt that way, which assume is some kind of biological process, maybe hormones, sorry to take the fun out of it. But
Has to
anyway,
be.
I felt something like really special there. I don't know. And sometimes, the scary thing is like nostalgia when you try to create nostalgia it just doesn't end up feeling the same. I'm always worried that if I go back that I may end up like tainting the memory somehow
Oh,
you know
interesting. Not if you bring your family. Take your wife, take your son there, and let them experience it and see it through his eyes.
have you ever gone back somewhere and maybe taken someone that you care about and you like think it's going to be amazing, but then actually you're like, wait, I don't remember it being this shitty or whatever. That's what I'm worried about.
Um, I think I've had something close to that, yeah, and it can definitely ruin your own memory of what that thing was like or what that place was like. By the way, what does it say about me that the place I chose, I didn't even consider what the people are like? I'm like, I don't give a fuck what the people of Northern California are like. I just want the mountains, the forests, and the ocean.
I think you used to live there. So
I
I
went to
think that
grad school up there, yeah.
yeah, so you have a pretty good sense of what they're like. I think that look, I would love to. I mean, if I was staying domestic, and I do think in the next few years if we're going to do this, I want to move to San Francisco, live downtown. But I think that the people of San Francisco by and large are very progressive and open-minded,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of
to a
academics
fault.
and scientists. Okay, fine, to a fault. But compared to like Miami, where I used to live, or I mean,
New
I've
York City.
yeah, like anyway, I think that the people part is pretty well nailed down for you. I think they're like your people.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
point. Cool.
Okay. Oh, do you wanna start us off with we have another troll of the week. By the way, give us feedback on this. If you don't like troll of the week, that's okay. I'll just get rid of it and find something else. I actually think that I feel like because we have trolls of the week and we have biggest L's of the week, and I'm like, damn, is everything we do just negative? Is it all just negative stuff? Or is there
Shit, I
anything
hope not.
positive?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you wanna see trolls of the week, that's fine. If you wanna see us replace it with, like, something positive, like feel-good stories of the week, we could do that too. I don't know how it's resonating with people. Anyway,
Fair.
do you wanna, read off this troll of the week? It's
Okay, so here's some feedback we got from Cole_Spears on Instagram in relation to Mike talking about, this tech founder person who, comes up from time to time.
Voldemort.
And yes, Voldemort. And Cole Spears, his feedback was, quote, big dude, no shave, probably ate McDonald's for breakfast. Yeah, let's listen to his take. Definitely doesn't make less than 60 a year. To which Mike responded, sorry, I left my ugly mustache and thrift shop hoodie home that day. Do you teach other men how to be fragile, or do you keep all that energy to yourself? Pretty good clapback, but
Yeah, I wish you could
definitely
see his
doesn't.
picture.
I assume he meant to say definitely doesn't make more than 60 a year.
I think he was being sarcastic.
Sarcastic. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
I know for a fact he's wrong about your salary, but that's okay.
I mean, that's I'm not even gonna bring that up because I don't care about that. I think
Literally doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
that is the most pathetic way to look at people in life is to evaluate their worth by how much money they earn because it's not your money. So what the fuck do you care?
Yeah.
If you're contributing to society and you take care of your family, that's really all that matters, right?
Also, the
Um,
brokest person can be right about something. Matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So, and not that it matters, but like by him saying that, it almost like anchors to what probably around what he earns, which is just like you're just giving yourself away and just shut the fuck up. But anyway, if you look at this guy's picture, it does have a really ugly mustache and is standing like with like a bunch of friends, like in a
Yeah.
circle and like an ugly hoodie. But that's not
We,
the point. I'm not here to
no,
make
we
ad
got to be
hominem.
careful. We cannot get into too much ad hominem.
Yeah, no,
So,
I'm not an
yeah.
ad hominem person. I'm just like, damn, like, first of all, I just actually the part of this I want to focus on is the money part, right? Because like I said, it's really a problem in society that we glorify money as much as we do and evaluate people based on that. And this has been, in my opinion, exacerbated by the advent and the proliferation of social media. It makes people feel bad for not having enough, which is why people don't, feel comfortable in their jobs. They want to always do more, and nothing's ever enough for them because what they're valuing is trying to be better than other people. And I think that is, like I said, just a really pathetic way to live your life. I mean, first of all, if you earn $60,000 a year as an individual, that would put you in the 55th percentile of individual earners in the US, which means that you literally earn more than half of people. So how is that bad? I mean,
Yeah.
whether you're above that line or below that line, how is that even bad?
And if you
But
put it in
secondly,
a global perspective, you make more than most people.
yeah, and like if I ate McDonald's for breakfast, I don't know how many people eat McDonald's for breakfast. Probably a lot.
A lot of people whose job you depend on for your day to day necessities to work.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess that this is the same kind of person who would say, because Elon's a billionaire, we should listen to him because he's smart. And that's a problem because we're giving too much of a platform to people just because they're rich. And it's just like you could be really good at building a company or raising money or whatever. Damn it, I said his name again, didn't I? Fuck. Okay, not again, not again. But you could be really good at building a company or raising money or whatever, and that
Mhm.
might make you good at one thing. It doesn't mean that you should be taken seriously in every other way, and it also doesn't mean that your opinions are naturally definitely more valuable. Like the
Yeah.
opinions of people should be evaluated based on their merit. Period.
Yeah.
Does the source matter? I would say sometimes it does. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but as we know, there's plenty of doctors and scientists that come out with bogus shit too. So you kind of have to evaluate all opinions
Yeah.
for what they are. And I hate the laziness of it, of this, like acting like money equates to, thoughtfulness or something. And anyway, that's pretty much
Thoughtfulness.
it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cole Spears, go fuck yourself. What?
All right, Mike. Well, let's get into this week's topics. I know that you want to talk about the huge $122 billion funding round that OpenAI just closed. I also want to talk about how my home country of Norway screwed up and tanked literacy rates in their school students by giving everyone iPads starting around 2016. And then, of course, we also got some of the biggest L's of the week that we want to get into some details there. But yeah, Mike, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, OpenAI closed its funding round. Now, this has been talked about for a while. It was originally going to be about 100 billion they were raising at a $732 billion valuation. Now, it ends up being 122 at 852. So it seems like the whole quit GPT movement didn't really hurt them that much because
Shit.
in this round, they also reported that their revenue is up to $2 billion a month, which is significant growth for
Mm,
them.
damn.
Um, in the round, it was a couple different participants. It was Amazon with 50 billion, but 35 billion of that is contingent upon them reaching IPO or achieving AGI, which nobody has defined in any way.
Yeah, how do you quantify that? Like, is there a set benchmark for what is considered artificial general intelligence?
No, there isn't. If they achieve AGI, it actually ends up severing their partnership with Microsoft, and probably a bunch of other things happen, like in restructuring. So that part's not going to happen here, but it's just a funny note that like
That's
this
a
whole
completely amorphous kind of set goal, though. Like,
it
who
doesn't
knows
make
when? Who decides when you achieve AGI?
they decide. But
Like the meetings.
OpenAI doesn't want that to happen because they need Microsoft as distribution partner, and that's going to be relevant in a minute because Microsoft has changed what they're doing with AI. But just a couple quick things on this round. So it was SoftBank, Nvidia. Nvidia was going to put in 100 billion, but they ended up putting only 30 billion. And it seems like there's been a lot of tension between Sam Altman and Jensen Huang. So
Yeah.
we don't know what's exactly is happening there. But yeah, they still are growing user base by 900 million active users a week. And the problem here is that this is a very high valuation. They also, in addition to this valuation, which is they're not profitable, but they have $1.4 trillion committed to infrastructure and compute costs over the next few years. They have to make serious inroads into enterprise, but it's not even clear if the enterprise market is that big. Like that
Mm,
alone can't be enough. And they have been making changes to get into the enterprise. Like now 40% of their revenue is enterprise, which is like businesses buying it, which is good for them. And they
yeah.
have actually done some really clever things to make more progress there. For example, they opened a consulting arm to consult with companies so that when they deploy AI, it's not just like they're buying it, but they're actually like deploying it into workflows. So they're actually getting value right away.
Yeah.
They even talked about moving away from cost per token model and moving towards cost per outcome model, which is very like risky for that because it pretty much makes it a kind of a no-brainer for the company.
Yeah.
But it kind of changes the whole cost structure. And then they also started partnering with McKinsey to, I guess, teach them how best to deploy OpenAI. And companies who pay McKinsey, they will use whatever McKinsey recommends. If McKinsey says, "Hey, we're going to build this for you, and it's going to use OpenAI models," the company's going to be like, "Okay, whatever. I don't care. Like, I don't care which model we use. Just use one that works." So
Yeah.
using them as a partner, it really makes a lot of sense. But I just don't see this. Just seems like at least for this company, given their evaluation, given their commitments to cost and computing infrastructure, This seems like a disaster waiting to happen. And I'll explain why. Look at the companies that are investing in this. Amazon, which has AWS, Nvidia, which makes chips, Microsoft, which has their own cloud services division.
Also, don't they own a bunch of like a big share of OpenAI? Don't they own like 49% of it or something? Where they did at one
Yes.
point?
Yeah, not even now it's I think it's like I want to say it's like 20-ish% in the
Oh
20 to
wow,
25% range now. Yeah, it has been diluted now, but still, yeah, a pretty big chunk of it. But the problem here is like it's all of this circular dealing. What is these $1.4 trillion in commitments? What are they? They are
yeah,
going to other AI related companies like Oracle or like Azure or AWS. And so if one of these things breaks, there's many single points of failures here. If one of these things doesn't come through, let's say if OpenAI doesn't have enough money to pay Oracle, then suddenly Oracle stock sinks. And then suddenly every other stock sinks because then they're like, shit, if OpenAI can't pay Oracle, they probably can't pay NVIDIA either. And now NVIDIA is not going to sell as many chips. And that's the risk here with OpenAI's valuation being propped up by all of this kind of circular dealing. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, like we kind of need them to come through on this somehow, but it
yeah,
just doesn't seem likely. How the fuck are you going to turn, $24 billion of revenue run rate today, which I mean, sometime towards the end of last year it was like 16 billion, so growing, but that's not growing enough to get you to that much. And granted, these 1.4 trillion in commitments not like right away. It's over like the next maybe 6 or 7 years, but still, where the fuck is that money going to come from?
yeah.
I just think that there's so much risk here. And then the other thing that's related to this is Microsoft's now building its own model. So before,
Oh really?
Microsoft had a heavy partnership with OpenAI to basically use ChatGPT as the model of choice in Copilot, which is like their enterprise AI everywhere tool that people find really annoying because it's
I
in too
hate
many
it.
places. Yeah, it's
It
everywhere.
sucks.
Why do you hate it?
Because it doesn't do the things you ask it to do, and it has all these like corporate guardrails built in, so it just won't do some very simple tasks. Like I saw an example of a guy posting on Twitter about how he asked Copilot in his workflow environment at his job to insert a table into a work doc or a Word document that he was working on. And after taking way too long to process this request, it ended up saying, well, I couldn't modify the original document. So I created a new blank document and put a table in there for you instead. And here's the link to it. And you can open it in a separate browser tab. Like, how does that improve anybody's work efficiency? That slows you down. It creates what you need in a different document where you're not working, doesn't contain the information you want. Anytime I ask it to do anything in my Copilot integrated shit at work, it doesn't have what I'm asking it for. It doesn't do what I need it to do. And it takes way too long to tell me, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, AI does that shit sometimes where you're like it like will get stuck on one way of doing something and you're like, wait. You've done this before for me the right way. Why is it this time you're stuck on this way of doing it? And
Yeah.
like, or it'll be like, no, I can't do the thing you're asking. I'm like, but you literally did it yesterday.
Yeah.
So what is happening now? And then sometimes you just have to close it out, start a whole new conversation or something.
Yeah.
It's actually like a good thing that it doesn't like always look into former conversations. But yeah, that's well, anyway, so Microsoft is building three foundational models. They're calling it MAI, Microsoft AI, and basically their goal is to be
Yeah.
completely. They were already starting to use Anthropic models in Copilot, which is a big fuck you and kick in the ass to OpenAI. But now they just want to be completely independent of it altogether. Just use
Uh-huh.
their own models by 2027. So this is like this is kind of an interesting but scary situation because what will it mean if remember I was talking about in the last episode about maybe being like there being some kind of economic correction. This might be the thing that triggers it. It might be like OpenAI fails to live up to half of its computing cost commitments, and then the whole industry tanks because they were relying on that money. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember it was not last quarter, but maybe the quarter before, Oracle stock just soared because of $300 billion in commitments from a new provider. They didn't name them, but people figured out it was OpenAI. And then once they figured out it was OpenAI, the stock actually came back down because they didn't believe that OpenAI could actually do that, or like the risk of them not doing that is pretty high. So, look, I mean, the entire global stock market, the Mag 7 is like 20% of like the entire global stock
What's the
market.
Mag 7?
The Magnificent Seven, it's basically like
Biggest
it's based
companies?
pretty much like they're kind of considered all AI companies, but they're actually not because Apple's not really an AI company. But
No.
it's Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta. I'm pretty sure Apple, even though I don't think they really belong in there. So yeah, pretty much those companies are
Yeah.
the Mag Seven. So yeah, I mean, like the entire economy kind of like rests on OpenAI executing. So
That doesn't seem good.
it doesn't seem good.
That's my expert analysis. That seems bad, Mike.
Look, it'll be a few years before anything happens because as long as they can keep raising money, this was the biggest funding round ever for a private fundraising round. 122 billion is insane.
Jeez.
832 billion on 24 billion in revenue is insane. But the next thing for them is that that's not enough money for them. As
Yeah.
I mentioned, $35 billion of it is contingent upon them going public. Plus, because of
Or reaching AJ.
or reaching AGI, yeah. Plus, they are going to run out of money soon. I mean, I don't know what their burn rate is, but it's definitely not great just because of the computing costs that are associated with serving AI. So they really need other business models to start paying off. I think that that ads will probably be the next thing that takes off for them. I just think that they've reached the point where I
Yeah,
don't think they can survive without ads.
and Sam Altman had previously said that that was like a last resort thing for OpenAI would be to place ads in people's experience
Yeah.
using ChatGPT, which just that also was one of the reasons why I decided to cancel my membership. I said, "Fuck that, I'm
Yeah.
not."
And they are doing it. I mean, they have started rolling out ads,
Yeah,
in limited scenarios, but I mean, that does have potential. But then as I talked about, there really isn't that big of a cost to switching AI services. So them running ads when Gemini is not going to do that.
yeah,
And Gemini is owned by the biggest advertiser in the world, and they're not running ads yet. Either those companies will follow suit and say, well, fuck it. If OpenAI is doing it, they're not losing users. We might as well do it too. Why wouldn't we? Or
yeah,
people will say, you know what? Fuck this. I don't want to see ads. I'm going to go to one of the other free services out there. I'll start using Grok or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
So they need
Copilot.
that to
I'm
pay
going back to
off.
Copilot. I'm going back to Copilot.
No, you're not.
No.
No, I
I use
refuse.
Copilot at work sometimes if I have to. I never use it in my free time now.
Yeah, why would you? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't like how Microsoft just makes everything not fun to use. Like I
yeah,
can't even use Copilot without making a Microsoft account. I mean, Google's not like that. Like none of the other services are difficult. Microsoft makes everything difficult. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, big news there for reasons other than just the fact that it's a big funding round.
So yeah, the story I want to talk about this week is the fact. Well, so I'm Norwegian. I'm proud of my heritage there. I'm proud of the culture that we foster in Norway. We do a lot of things well, I think. Um, but there are some missteps we take too, and I think it's connected to the fact that Norway is a country of 5.5 million people, and we have the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. We're a very rich society, and sometimes I think that can lead us to uh, make mistakes that are unintended and have downstream consequences that a lot of people maybe didn't foresee at the time, but then in hindsight should have been pretty obvious. And one of those things is the fact that in 2016, the Norwegian government basically enrolled the entire population into a psychological experiment that nobody really was informed of or consented to in some way. And that started in 2016 when the government basically rolled out a program to give everybody iPads in school. So we began a classroom initiative where every 5-year-old was given an iPad upon starting school. And by the way, a lot of this that I'm recounting now and talking about was recently summarized well in an article for the Sunday Times called "Free iPads Ruined Kids' Reading in Norway." It's fighting back. So, and I was living in Norway at the time when this happened. I grew up with a mother who worked in an education. My mom was uh, an elementary school teacher for many years, and then she transitioned into a career where she worked for the city government of Bergen, overseeing things like uh, literacy rates in schools in the district to make sure that they're meeting national standards. Um, so in 2016, when every 5-year-old was given an iPad without any sort of like built-in guardrails or what would you call it? Like restrictions built in. Um, the Norwegian reading scores, as measured by the Program for International Student Assessment, or PISA, uh, our literacy rates just tanked the averages. So in 2016, or 2015, I should say, before the program started, Norway had an average PISA score for reading that sat at 513, and we were above the average for the UK at the same time. And we're also above the average of 497 for the rest of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, which is the administrator and assessor of the PISA test. Norway was above average on most comparisons, mean reading performance in 2016. Then all the kids get basically a tablet handed to them for free. And what do you think happened? Well, our reading scores basically just tanked. Norway, out of a population of 5.5 million, something around like 500,000 Norwegians cannot read a text message or read or comprehend simple instructions.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And of the 65 countries measured for children's enjoyment in reading by something called the Progress in International Reading and Literacy Study, or the PEARLS, Norway sits at the very bottom. Kids are left with a very depleted and hollowed out basic vocabulary, sitting at around 17,000 words. If you compare that to kids who grew up learning to read physical books, my mom encouraged me to read books. She would buy me books that I could sit and hold and read. I was grew up before in the time before tablets and computers. So the average bookworm's vocabulary sits somewhere between 55,000 to 70,000 words, which is a multiple of 5 compared to
So
17,000
is
words.
this happening because the iPads, like, they just weren't reading on the iPads, they're just doing other shit on the iPads?
They're
Or is
just
it
doing
because
other shit on the iPad. They're consistently distracted by the iPad because they were delivered to kids without any restrictions built in, so they could just go on YouTube, look at different websites, put social media apps on there, like fuck around and do anything but reading, essentially. And reading takes focus, and focus is a skill. And if you don't practice it because you're continually distracted by digital dopamine hits and things that are flashing at you, you're not going to be a good reader. And that really, really tanks your performance in school. It tanks your ability to do well at things like job interviews and applying for colleges, or if you want to do anything, really. People are going to assess you on, can you follow simple instructions? Can you read? Can you understand what we're telling you in a written communique? And
yeah.
if you basically like pulling the rug out from kids' feet at that young of an age, you're really hampering the country's ability to be economically competitive. You're also just really stunting people's intelligence, or like uh, emotional and intelligence development.
Yeah.
Because
All
it
because of iPads.
basically, because this digital distraction, it kind of erodes the common cultural ground that is provided by things like shared books and shared television. Like, it's one thing to sit down with your family and watch a TV show and then go to school next day and talk with your friends about the TV show because you knew for a fact that it was on at the same time and their families sit down and watched it too. You have a shared experience that you can bond over. But when everybody's on this like atomized version of the internet where everything is catered to the individual, nobody has like a shared reality anymore in that sense. And yeah, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot because we had all this money to buy iPads for everybody. And I remember at the time, like, my mom, who worked in the local school system in my hometown in Bergen, she was talking about it at the time. Like, we want all these kids to grow up with what we call digital competency. We want them to understand technological devices like computers and phones and tablets and whatnot. But even that didn't work, because if you talk to kids younger, like teenagers now, who grew up in the world of touchscreens and apps, they don't have basic computer skills where you have to use a keyboard and a cursor and operate a traditional like operating system that is not like built in structure like your iPhone is, essentially. And so, yeah, I really like this quote by the former Minister of Education in Norway, Trine Skei Grande. She said, and she attributed the decline in reading levels in Norway to us being, quote, far, far too rich and doing stupid things with the money because, we have all this money and we don't think about how to spend it properly.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me because I mean, in theory, like the whole reason for giving them iPads was not to stunt them. It was not like in hindsight, it seems like it's obvious, but that didn't seem like it would be obvious at the time. It seems like that could be a way that they could learn and build digital skills. Like I could understand that. The most important thing to me is that they did a study to find out that it's not working and then pulled the plug on it. Of
Yes.
course, it's not gonna
So
help those kids, but I just find that, like, her framing of it is a bit like, hindsight is 2020, like Monday morning quarterback stuff.
well, she said, yes, here's the quote. We are far, far too rich, so we do stupid things with our money. Which I can agree to that in some instances. But yeah, so giving iPads out to so many kids kind of undermine this ability to read well and or to be good readers and to have an interest in sitting and reading books. And so the Prime Minister, Jonas Gahr Støre from the Labour Party, he vowed to make Norway into the best country in the world for reading. And so Norway has finally realized that, this was a big mistake and we're trying to pull the plug on this now. So the silver lining is that iPads have been removed for younger school children as of August of 2024. We are rebranding libraries as community hubs, so offering different things to draw in young people, like roller skating parties and sessions on how to clean your sneakers and rap workshops and different things to just attract young people and hopefully to eventually encourage reading and book borrowing. Yeah, I really hope that Norway figures this out. And I know that Sweden did the same thing. Sweden also said we're taking away the iPads from classrooms. And this also ties into what we talked about in a previous episode, like this phone-based childhood and how it undermines mental health in young people because it creates anxiety and feelings of insecurity and the fear of missing out. Like you have constant FOMO because you always see what your friends are up to and you feel like you're being left out, and constant distractions because everything is now condensed into 20-second clips on TikTok or whatever. So yeah, this is just another example of what can go wrong when you just uncritically hand out screens to 5-year-olds in a whole society. Norway tried it, and Norway figured out that it really didn't go the way we wanted it to. And kids are going to have digital competency anyway because they're going to be using phones outside of the classroom. So how about we make the classroom back into an analog zone? Pen and paper, physical books. I'm all for it.
I don't know. Maybe my perspective is colored by the fact that I live in the US. We don't seem to give a shit about education anymore. We don't seem to try things just for the greater good and then actually reassess if they're working. I feel like everything you described to me sounds like it's interesting from the fact that it had that much of a negative impact, but from the perspective of like, why does Norway do stupid shit with its money? I don't see it that way. That's not what it sounds like to me. It sounds like they tried something that you have to try to see if it works. It had logic behind it at the time, and they found it didn't work, and they changed it. And I think that's how you're supposed to do things.
True. I just feel bad for all the kids who had their reading ability stunted by this, basically, before they were, old enough to know what they were a part of.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it's not the same, but like it's like how we used to have lead in paint here. We did it. I guess maybe we didn't know, or probably we did, and maybe we just let the lead lobby win. I don't know. It sucks, but I think that I don't know if this is true or not, but it would seem to me that if those kids were maybe they are forever stunted, but if they were to start reading again in a traditional way, that they could probably recover a lot of what was lost.
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
like retraining your brain a bit. And I'm also like really amazed that Norway has the world's largest sovereign wealth fund. That's crazy.
You want to know what
That's
it currently sits at?
2 trillion.
Oh, you looked it up?
I did look it up. $2 trillion for just the Norway, which is for a country of your size of Norway is insane. It seems like this sovereign wealth fund owns almost a little bit of every single global stock in the in the world.
Yeah.
Plus, it's been driven by oil revenues too, which I'm so
Yeah.
now I'm sure Norway's just raking it in right now
Yes.
because of the
Yeah.
price of oil. So
Yeah.
but it's just like it just goes to show you, like, good. I mean, from what I've learned, I'm not an expert on this, but from what I've seen, that it seems that Norway was not really always a very rich country. It seems like it's
No, until the
not even not
60s,
too.
it was not.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you what, like, intelligent fiscal management does for you, and, if
Yeah.
you look at what we're doing in the US, where we just keep adding to the debt, and our national debt payments are well over $1 trillion a year now just to service the debt. That's not even paying it down. That's what takes away from programs like well-intentioned ones like the iPad thing that we can't afford to do here now. And so that's essentially like stealing from our kids because, okay, maybe it wouldn't be iPads, but maybe it would be like, free tuition or something, or,
Yeah.
government subsidized tuition. Those are the things that we lose, whereas Norway doesn't have to make those trade-offs. You don't pay for education in Norway because they have enough money to pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that it's different with just the economics and logistics of running a country of 5.5 million as opposed to, 330 million. But yes, it is definitely also comes down to differences in priorities and spending.
Yeah. Damn, bro. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so, no iPads for kids. That's, I
No
guess, what I took
iPads for
from that.
kids. If you wanted to read, give them physical books.
Yeah, sorry, Apple. I'm sure you had grand plans to sell everyone an iPad at every student, every
I
school in the
have one and I
world,
don't
but
use it. I should sell it.
Yeah, it's like I feel like you have to really want to use it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sitting on the couch. I need to do real work, but I can't do it on my phone, but I also don't wanna have my laptop in my lap. I just feel like the phones are so good now that it kind of like ate into that scenario a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about one of my favorite topics, data centers. Apparently, there is bipartisan data center legislation going on that are targeting AI data centers, particularly because of their energy use. One of these bills is led by Bernie Sanders and AOC, and this is the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act, which would impose an immediate federal moratorium on all new AI data center construction until federal safeguards are in place covering AI safety certification, worker protections against displacement, environmental limits, union labor requirements, and a ban on exporting advanced chips to countries without similar rules. So this is
Mm.
one of the bills. This one, I get the sense that this one kind of is about let's just make sure we pull the plug on AI right now. And they came up with all these kind of reasons like AI safety certification. But I think it sounds to me like they're just trying to pull the plug on AI because people are anxious about it, because people think it's going to displace their jobs. Last year, there was 1.2 million layoffs, and those weren't necessarily because of AI. But this year, there's been a lot of tech company layoffs. A lot of them are blaming AI, and I
Mm.
think that's what the genesis for this bill is. The other bill is Holly Blumenthal, called the Grid Act. This came out in February to guarantee energy rates. So they want guaranteed rate installation, which is what it is, the Grid Act. No data center related price increases for consumer utility bills. First priority for grid access to everyday users. New data centers must power themselves from off grid sources. Existing
Mm.
facilities get 10 years to comply, and penalties up to $1 million per day for non compliance. By
So
the way,
basically, to make sure that energy for basically like me and you at our houses, the energy doesn't go up so much because of a data center in our neighborhood, sucking up all
people
the power.
people who live near data centers have seen a 267% increase in electricity prices over the last 5 years.
Yeah,
And I
fuck
just
that.
read something that data centers are creating these heat waves around them that go up to 6 miles, where they're basically like heating the earth around them by like 3 or 4 degrees. So there's a lot of shit that happens because of data centers that people do not want them around. But one of the worst ones, and honestly, one of the most unfair ones, is that regular people have to pay inflated energy costs because of these data centers. And that's just not, that's what this bill is targeting. And
Mm.
then there's even another, this one was interesting, which was Josh Hawley and Elizabeth Warren letter. This came out just a few days ago that
Oh
demanded
wow,
the, that did, I know, right? Didn't expect
wow.
that
No, did not
union.
expect Josh Ollie and Elizabeth Warren to cooperate on something.
Yeah.
Good,
And that just to
good for
me
them,
goes to show,
honestly.
seriously good for them, but that just to me goes to show that like, look, this is an issue that everyone's concerned about. it's
Yeah,
not
this is
just
bipartisan for
it's
sure.
not just white collar workers in New York City, it's everyone.
Yeah.
So anyway, this letter demanded that the Energy Information Administration implements mandatory annual electricity reporting for data centers, including hourly loads, electricity rates paid, grid upgrades needed, and whether facilities participate in demand response. So This all matters because US data centers are like a leech on society. Look, it's one thing to have data centers like AWS and Google Cloud data centers, but AI demands a whole different level. And so last year, data centers used 25 gigawatts of power, which is equivalent to all of New York State's electricity. And the
For
projected,
1 year of New York State's electricity consumption?
yep, and the demand is going to double by 2030 and triple by 2035. So this is a problem for people. This is a problem that's not going anywhere. US has a lot of land. I'm sure that landowners want to sell the data centers, but even, cities and municipal politicians are kind of realizing, this is a bad deal for us. Like, you're getting a lot of value from this, and you're just putting this, like, this ugly, like, blemish on our land and raising prices for our people, which is never going to win over voters.
No.
And I think that like the first bill is really, the AOC Sanders bill is really about like halting AI so that it doesn't move too fast. Some of the things that they mentioned in that don't seem to be particularly related to data centers. They just know that if they kneecap data center construction, that it will kind of like kneecap AI acceleration until, people can, like, the economy can kind of breathe a little bit. But yeah, there's been a lot of backlash to data centers, like Republican farmers in Missouri and Democratic communities in Virginia, and even Ron DeSantis in Florida. And even Trump said he doesn't want Americans to ever pay higher electricity bills because of data centers, which is like the only anti-AI thing I've ever heard him say. This is going to be a problem, and it brings me back to something I talked about before, which is like, even if AI could disrupt, let's say, a large swath of the workforce, let's say 15% plus, 15 to 30% or more, right? Can we even get there? Do we even have the resources to get there? There is enough energy on Earth, and we could build enough data centers, but government regulation is a big blocker to that potentially, and you
Yeah.
can kind of see why.
Yeah. And also, is it going to be able to happen outside of the United States? I feel like a lot of European countries simply wouldn't go for this.
You're talking about going for data
Yeah.
center construction, yeah.
Data center construction, this level of energy consumption and raising of prices for the regular consumers, like maybe it can happen in the United States to some degree, but I don't know that the culture in other parts of the world would allow for it and tolerate it.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of part of it, in my opinion. Most of these companies are American companies: Microsoft,
Mm.
Google, Amazon, Meta, SpaceX. Who else is building data centers? NVIDIA, OpenAI, they're all American companies. So
Yeah.
even you could at least argue that, well, American companies benefiting and growing from this is good for America. How is it good for those other countries? They don't really hire that many people at data centers. So it's not like it creates a lot of jobs or anything, except for the construction of it. They consume a lot of water, they make a lot of noise, they heat up the earth around it, which, like, that probably has implications that I haven't thought of, and I'm not an expert to get into, but like heating the ground by several degrees is probably a problem. And they're
Mm.
just ugly, and all of this so that massive companies can get bigger, so they can do what? Realize profits doing what? Selling AI, which is going to do what? Take away jobs. I mean, that's the benefit. The benefit of selling AI is to cut labor costs. That is why the investment is so high. I have
Yeah.
talked extensively about why I don't think that will happen. But if that's really what we're funding and facilitating with data centers, do we really want to facilitate that? It's kind of like we kind of have control over this. It's the one thing that we can limit to
Yeah.
put a kind of leash on these companies and what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm all for this. I just it's hard. It's so, like, heartwarming for me to see that this is like a universally despised issue. And usually when something's universally despised, I hope to God that this stuff gets seen through.
Enemy that unites us.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
All right, it's time for the biggest L's of the week, everybody's favorite segment. Mike, I know you wanted to lead us off by talking about Social Security and its
Yeah.
future.
Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2033. After that, the program can only pay out what it takes in through payroll taxes, which is roughly about 80 cents on every dollar owed. So Social Security is funded by payroll tax on employees and from employers too. So both pay into it. It's about 12.5% total between the two. And what's happening is that basically the math isn't mathing here. So baby boomers are retiring a lot, like 10,000 per day, and fewer workers are available per retiree. So in 1960 it was 5.1 workers per retiree. Now it's 2.8 and falling. And this is partially because of longer lifespans and flat wage growth. So we're putting in less money and we have less people to put in money.
Yeah. So we're not basically at replacement rates for workers to pay into the system.
Exactly. And look, boomers already have over 70% of all wealth in this country. This is just going to move
Yeah.
more wealth in their direction.
Fuck.
I fucking love Scott Galloway. One thing he posted on Instagram today was like, basically America is like old people. Our democracy is basically just old people voting themselves more money, which is kind of like what's been happening.
Yeah.
And so if you're a boomer or you're about to retire, you're going to get your full benefits. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're under 50 years old, you are going to not get what you are really entitled to. And so this is basically like, I feel like this is a violation of the contract
Yeah.
we signed up for to be American citizens, to pay into the system, which has gone
Yeah.
really well for, I don't know, quite a long time, almost 100 years now, or something like that, 80 something years.
It's also
And
one
so
of the main reasons I've considered becoming a US citizen is because I'm paying into the Social Security system with my taxes, but if I'm not a citizen, I can't get it back when I retire here. So that's, that and be able to vote in the election is like one of the reasons I've considered becoming a US citizen. If it's going to go bust, then what the fuck?
I should say that it's going bust doesn't mean we're not going to get anything, but we'll probably get 20 to 30% less than what we should get, because that's kind of like the gap. So you will get something, but that's still a raw fucking deal.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, my issue, like, first of all, if you're really wealthy as a retiree, you shouldn't even get Social Security. That's my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
that should be something it should be something where it's like asset capped, where if you have a certain number of assets, you don't get it. That's just how it should be.
Mm.
Why should you get retirement benefits from the government funded off of everyone else when you're already rich? And it's like they would argue, well, I paid into it too. Okay, fair. But you don't need it. It's not meant for people like you. It's meant for people who need it, to help people retire. So here are some fixes, potential fixes. I think we could remove or raise the income cap, because right now there's an income cap at $168,000. So after that, you're not contributing anything. If you remove that, you should be able to bring in, a lot more money. But right now, someone who makes like $10 million a year pays the same as, a teacher, making $100,000 a year or something.
Teachers don't make $100,000.
Yeah, they do. Sure, not starting, but with tenure and stuff, absolutely they do.
Okay.
Because they're all union based. I don't want someone to get mad at me. There are teachers who don't make very much money,
Yes.
right? But after a number of years, depending on the school system, depending on the union, they should make more than that. I mean, that's what I see. I was looking at my old high school, upstate New York, which is like the middle of nowhere, and all the teachers, and it's all public, their salaries are all public. So I was really nosy about it.
Yeah.
And all these people that I knew when I was like 15, I was like, oh, I wonder what they make now. And like all of them make over six figures now. And it wasn't like a rich area or anything. Um,
All right.
but of course, your mileage may vary, right? Like maybe inner cities, maybe it's different. I don't fucking know. Okay. Another thing, like I mentioned, means test benefits. So no SSI for people above a certain asset threshold. So if you have $5 million, you don't need $3,000 a month from the government. Okay.
Yeah.
You could also raise the retirement age that you're not eligible for benefits. This is politically toxic, and is it fair to us? So I don't know how I feel about that one. And if you work in like a very physically taxing kind of work, that's really not fair to you, because instead of retiring at 60 years old, you have to retire, later, whatever that age would be. So that's really not fair to you, and you may not be able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. You could also increase the payroll tax rate, which I don't like that either. I really like the things that don't hurt people who are kind of innocent in this. Like I do like removing or raising the income cap. I think that is like the fairest way to do it. And I do think that like the means test is probably the most logical one. But, I mean, we have to find ways to help the workforce, because this is a byproduct of what the younger workforce pays in. And if their wages aren't growing, and if there's not enough jobs, guess what happens? There's also not enough benefits. And you can see this kind of like circle of this cycle of effects that like feed into each other, like this doom loop. Like a bad economy leads to less jobs, leads to stagnant wage growth, leads to less paid into Social Security, leads to less Social Security benefits, leads to a struggling in the future, like a financially strained cohort of people, large cohort of people in this country. And I think it's a huge L that nobody has done anything about this, because it's kind of something that we probably could have predicted a long time ago.
Yeah. By the way, the Social Security Act was passed in 1930, almost a century, coming
Okay,
up on
I
100
thought it
years.
was. I thought it was.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I can't, guys. I can't
No,
research
you
it.
were pretty close. All right. So my biggest L of the week is the fact that the CEO of Air Canada, Michael Rousseau, had to step down after a major PR nightmare. So one of Air Canada's planes was involved in a fatal accident at the Newark Airport in New Jersey. It wasn't an in-air accident or a plane crash or anything like that, but two airplanes collided on the tarmac, I believe, and I think two pilots died. So Michael Rousseau, the CEO of Air Canada, issued an apology video talking about the accident and how they're going to strengthen their routines to ensure things doesn't happen again, etc. Canada is a bilingual country, technically, I believe, because a ton of people speak French in Quebec. And his apology video only contained two French words, bonjour and merci.
Hey, that's about as much French as I speak, so
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
be Air Canada CEO.
Yeah, and you used to have a place in Paris, which is pretty impressive for somebody who makes less than $60,000 a year and eats breakfast at McDonald's every day.
I'm not gonna go there, because if you're listening to this and you don't make that much money, and that's okay. I don't want anyone to feel judged or anything. I don't. It just doesn't matter to
No,
me.
I'm
But
kidding. I'm fucking happy.
I know you're kidding. I think about like this world has so much toxicity in it about how much people are worth because of how much money they make, and
Yeah.
they fuck that. Anyway, but yes, thank you.
Fair, yes. So in the apology video by the CEO, he only had those two French words, and the rest was in English, and that really, really pissed people off. And so, yeah, he stepped down because the condolence delivered almost entirely in English. Really upset people. So because Canada has two official languages, English and French, Air Canada are headquartered in Montreal. Therefore, they are required to offer services in both languages. And so apparently. The search for his replacement is really going to focus on bilingual fluency. But come on now.
Okay, I mean,
It's pretty silly in the eyes of Americans, I think.
No, it is. It's just I don't know, because I don't want to conjecture shit I don't know about, but I guess I have to, because I'm live with you now, not live, but I'm recording this with you now, and I have worked with a lot of Canadian entities, a lot of government branches and private companies in Canada through my job, and there's always this weird tension between the French Canadians and the non-French Canadians, like I guess the British Canadians, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
and
The
it's
denim Canadians.
it's just it's I don't know, it feels more performative than anything, because if both French Canadians and what's the other word? The non-French Canadians
Just, yeah.
are meant to both know both languages, then saying it in one language and that seems like it makes sense. To repeat it again in another language just feels performative. I mean, I understand if maybe like an apology at most may have been issued. To step down over that
Yeah.
is just like,
To be
I
forced
don't
out of your
know.
position.
I don't know. How do you feel about it? I feel like it's a bit extreme, but I mean, I
It's
don't know how
extreme.
Canadians
It's
feel
silly.
about it.
It's unnecessary. It could have just been like, we're going to do better the next time. And we apologize. We didn't mean to make any French speaking Canadians feel like they're being left out. And let's all keep it moving. We have more important things to focus on. We're going to make sure that, we don't kill our pilots in accidents.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
hopefully he gets whatever. I don't know, golden parachute or something. I don't fucking know. Okay, let's talk about Oracle layoffs. Oracle just laid off 30,000 people. And this is about 19% of their total workforce, which is about 162,000 last year. And wow. The one thing about this is they didn't necessarily say that it's AI, but Oracle has Oracle's in a very sensitive, delicate financial position. They have a lot of costs associated with building out AI data centers and cloud data centers, and they are borrowing a lot to do that. So they have a lot of debt and they're making money, but it's a bit risky for them. So they have, like other companies that have done layoffs recently, they have fundamental issues with them
Yeah.
that are making them do this. It is not because AI has found a way to replace 30,000 people. I don't care if anyone said that. I didn't see anyone say that. They are looking at trying to be more efficient per employee, but
Yeah.
that's more about like profit per employee. So, Oracle kind of lags rivals in terms of how much profit they generate per employee. Like there's less than Microsoft and less than Google. And, Oracle, in addition to providing cloud services, they are mainly a software provider. They provide a really ugly ass suite of software that I hate using, like the Oracle Cloud and Oracle ERP. These things are like the worst things in the world. I hope you never have to learn how to use these things because they're
Okay.
just like a user experience nightmare.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to take away from this, in addition to the fact that this is not AI related, at least not that I've seen, not that I can tell, this is Oracle's bad financials related, is that they were pretty cheap about this.
Mm.
Whereas, Block did recent layoffs, 40% of their workforce was laid off, 4,000 people, and they gave like 20 weeks of severance, I think, plus like a $5,000 stipend, plus access to healthcare.
Yeah.
Oracle didn't give any of that. Oracle gave 4 weeks and plus 1 week for every year of service. They cut off benefits like immediately. They made people sign different documents, signing their life away in order to get those benefits. Most companies have decided it's worthwhile to be generous with the people who are going out the door. Give them enough so they can live for a while so they find another job. Oracle's like, yeah, fuck that. We're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Basically, like the way I see it is like they're almost just giving a severance just to have people sign an NDA to protect them legally. That's pretty much what it is. It's like, all right, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing wrong with it, but I do
There's
think
something wrong with it.
there's a long-term cost of being a dick to these kind of employees because eventually the pendulum always swings the other way.
Yeah,
They're
you're
going to want to
burning
work.
your own reputation. You're harming your own soft power, as it were,
Yeah.
in
And are
terms of
they
as your reputation as an employer.
going to want to work for Oracle again? Probably
They're
not.
treated like that.
There's one more thing I want to say on this is that Oracle did say that AI code generation has made their development teams so efficient that they can build more software in less time with fewer people. But again, that's very similar to sentiments that were shared by Meta and Microsoft recently. But if you actually look at the numbers, you can kind of call bullshit on that. Like, first of all, they're in that earnings call, they're kind of propping up their own products by doing that, by saying how cool their products are. But
Mhm.
like I said, they have $50 billion committed in AI CapEx for 2026, which is a 136% increase over their 2025 spending, right? And their current cash flow isn't enough to cover that. So cutting 30,000 people is their way to do that. That's the real issue. So I just want to emphasize that this is about another AI company putting a shitload of money into AI and then saying, ooh, sorry, we need to lay people off. But it really has nothing to do with AI being so efficient that they can do the work of 30,000 people here.
Mm.
That's pretty much it.
Damn. So it's just them saving money on payroll so they can afford their CapEx spend on, what did you call it?
AI build out, infrastructure, data centers, chips, that kind of thing.
All that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why it's so scary. Like when we were talking about OpenAI, because if this shit, there's so many single points of failure here. If any of these companies misses the mark or loses demand for their services, I mean, what are they going to do? Does $50 billion just set on fire? The whole stock market will come down and there will be like massive economic ripples from that. So
I'm going to put all my
it's
money in gold.
I do not. I do not understand. I do not understand. Like, this makes no sense to me if we talk about gold for a second, because people say, oh, we buy gold when there's uncertainty in the economy because gold has stable and has always been stable for centuries or whatever. Okay, that makes sense if gold is like, growing like 2 or 3% a year or flat. When it starts doubling in value, that's no longer stable. That's as volatile as anything else you could possibly do in the market. So what you just I hate when people make things into like meme stocks and shit, and then they try to justify it with real world logic. I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have any cash flows. It's no longer stable.
That's it. Put all your money in fucking gold ETFs. Well, we thank you for tuning in to episode 2 for this week of Hogwash. We're trying to do 2 a week from now on. We're going to see how that works out, but we're giving it our all. If you want to reach out, you can email us at hogwashpod@gmail.com. You can find us on all social media at hogwashpod. Yeah, come argue with us in the comments. Reach out. We'd love to hear your feedback, anything we can do differently or improve on. We'd love to get any constructive criticism. So please let us know. Yeah, we really appreciate for anybody who lends us your ear. Thank you for listening.
Thank you guys. We love you as always. See you next week.
See you next week.